For this particular lab, we are going to be doing this worksheet. So I'm going to copy it and paste it here. You can see I already opened an Excel workbook and I named this question 1. So I've copied the values. I'm going to paste it there. Just make sure we have maybe the last 3 numbers and we have it there. So I'll just go to data. Under data, I'll click text to columns. Normally I use delimited and space, but here I'll just leave it at fixed. I'll click next and I see it does the job properly. So I will just click on finish. Now I'm going to select the values because I want to be able to transpose it. So I'll do Ctrl+C to copy it. I'll go all the way back to where I was. I will right click here. I can just use this, okay, to transpose it. Or if you don't have that, you click on paste special. You click on transpose and you have your numbers there. I'll click on 1. I'll hit delete on my keyboard to get rid of it. Here are my numbers. So you see it says construct a frequency distribution, relative and cumulative with 6 classes. So generally when we have something like that, the first thing we want to do is to construct the class width. So let's first determine what is the mean, what is the max, what is the size or the sample size, and what is the class width. Rounded class width. Okay, I'll just increase that a bit. So I'll come where we have the mean equal min, hit tab and select all of that, hit enter. For max, I'll use the max function, hit tab, select the data, hit enter. For the size, I'll start with equal count, hit tab, select it and hit enter. For class width, it's equal, I'll open my brackets. I know it's max minus min, close the brackets. In the questions we've been told we want 6, so I'll divide that by 6 and I'll hit enter. And I want to round it. I'll say equal round, hit tab, select that, hit enter. Let me see, I think I forgot something. I'll put a comma here. Hold on, let me select that, comma, and then 0 to say I don't want any, there should be no decimal. Hit enter and that's it. So now I want to determine the lower class interval. So we have lower, we have upper, and let's start with the lower class interval. The lower class interval always starts with the mean, and then we keep adding the class width. So here I'll do equal, I'll click on that, plus the class width. Now I want to hold the class width constant, so I'll put a decimal at the beginning and at the end of the class width. So just put put a dollar sign at the before and after D, and you can hit that. Then you can just drag it. Okay, just make sure you have, okay, I have all the, how many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll leave 7 here because I need to use, we need 6, but I'll leave 7 because I need this 5 to fill in those places, those other ones. You'll see what I'm talking about. Here it's equal this value minus 1. Minus 1, hit enter, and then We'll just drag it all the way there, and voila. Now I want the frequency. So frequency, relative frequency, and the cumulative frequency. Okay, the frequency, we'll use the frequency function. I'll hit tab and I'm going to select the data set. I'll put a comma, then I'll select the upper class and I'll close it and hit enter, and there we go. So that's it, we have it. This is just, there's really no class here, this is just empty, but it's okay. So basically this is what we have. Those other things are just cosmetic things. Okay, so relative frequency is just your frequency divided by the size. So we'll do equal, we'll take that and we'll divide it by the size. Now, given that size is there, we need to hold size constant. I'll do F4, or I'll just put dollar in front and after D. So I'll hit enter and then I'll drag it for all the other ones. And there we go, that's the relative frequency. Now cumulative, you are starting from your minimum and you will keep adding everything. So I'll just say equal this one, hit enter. Now it's equal what is above plus what is below. I'll hit enter and then I'll just drag it, because you keep adding and you keep adding until you get to 30. So there we are. So that's the cumulative. So we are done with the first question. The second one, it wants us to construct a frequency histogram. So I'll just come here and I'll say, hold on, what's that? I'll click here and say frequency histogram. So for the frequency histogram, basically what do I need for my frequency histogram? I want to use the midpoints. So I'll create what I need here for that. Okay, let me just say frequency histogram. This enables me to show you people certain things too. Okay, frequency, let me just type the whole thing. Frequency histogram. I'll select all of that. I'll select both of them, or just all of it. And I can go to home and I'll click here, or you look for merge and center. And you click on it, it will merge and center. Here I want the midpoint. Now when we talk of midpoint, what midpoint are we talking of? We are talking about the midpoint of the lower and upper class. So it's just their average. I'll use the average and I'll select of these two. Hit enter and then I'll drag. So basically that's the midpoint of each of the classes. Now I need the frequency. It's basically the same frequency we have here. So I'll just say equal. I'll click on frequency and then I'll just drag it. And there we go. Now I want to use that to generate the frequency histogram. So I'll select both of them. I'll go to insert and I'll go here. I will take this one and I will OK. Now I need to do some adjustments. I will click there on the x-axis, right click, take format axis, and on the format axis I want to adjust the number of bins. Let me see. No, that's, I clicked on the wrong thing. Actually it's here. I will right click on the bars, click on format. I want to reduce this to 2, just 2%, hit enter, close that, and this is my histogram. Basically, you can see the midpoint and you can see everything. This is my histogram. If you want, you could change the name, come here and type whatever you want. Okay, you can say frequency histogram off. If you want, you write whatever, speed, blah blah blah. Okay, that's it for that one. Now the next one is the relative frequency. It's very similar to this. All what we need to do for the relative frequency, I'll just copy this, Control C, click here, hit enter to paste it there. Let me see. Why am I having a problem with the initial? Let me see. Midpoint 1, 2, 3. Whatever, doesn't matter. Let me just delete this first. So all I need to do, I just want to repeat what I have here. So let me delete, I'll just delete all of that. I don't need all of it. I'll come here, equal, click there. I want to repeat the midpoints and I'll just drag it because it's bringing down what you have here. And for frequency, actually I'll double click there and say rel, because it's a relative frequency histogram. Here it's a relative frequency histogram. So when I come here and I say equal, I will take the relative frequency, hit enter, and then drag the other ones. Then I'll do the same thing I did here. I'll select all of it. I'll go to insert, click, and this is what I want. Okay. Right click on one of the bars, format axis, and just make sure I only have 2%, hit enter, close that. And right now we can see that we have the relative frequency. It's in percent. Here you have the raw numbers. Here it's in percent. Now the last one for this one says the frequency polygon. So this is a bit trickish. You have the, let me just copy this first two, Control C, click there, hit enter. And now I'll say frequency polygon. Frequency polygon. Now, why is it trickish? Because you need to basically do some adjustments before you can run your thing. For your frequency polygon, you generally need to subtract your width and increase your width. So let's just leave that space empty and repeat what we have here. So we will do equal. I'll click on that, hit enter, and just drag it because it's similar to your frequency. However, you are dealing with a polygon. Here we have equal, click, hit enter. So remember you did this by hand. This is, you'll have such a question during the test, not the same numbers, but very similar. So you should be comfortable doing this. However, to have a polygon, you have to resolve this to 0. So generally for you to have 0 there, you need to add this by one class. Okay, so when we come here, we will add that particular, we will say this value plus the class width. We have the class width here, which is 3. And here we will also resolve it to 3. But here It's also this particular value minus the class width. Okay. So if you take a look at your class notes, you'll see, yeah, this is your frequency distribution. However, this must be 0, this must be 0, and for this n, you subtract the class width from your minimum value, and here you add the class width to the maximum value of that class. Okay. Remember, we are dealing with the midpoints. Okay. So that's what you are doing here. Here we go. Let's take, this is not real. Let me just adjust this to frequency. Okay, I'll select everything. Go to insert, same game. I'll take this one. Okay, and here we go. That's the frequency polygon. Now the last one we have to do is the OGIF. It's just your cumulative frequency distribution. So let me just copy this. Control C, come click here, hit enter, and I'll just double click there. Actually, I'll just say OGIF. Is the cumulative frequency distribution. So generally, we do not use the midpoint for that one. What we do is that we are going to be using the class boundary, and for the lower class boundary, we will take away 0.5, and for the upper one, we will add 0.5. So I'll just say the boundary, and here we have the cumulative frequency. Okay, so for this particular one, let me just delete all of these numbers, and let's start the cumulative. I'll start with equal. Let's take this, enter, and let's just drag it for all the other ones. 30. Now the first one here, we basically want to take this and we deduct 0.5. Now remember, we want it to start at 0. So here, let me just pull this down. So it has to start at 0 because it has to touch the x-axis. However, here I'll say equal. I'll take this lower one, minus 0.5, and I'll hit enter, and I'll just drag it for all the rest. Okay, so that's it for the OGIF. I'll select it, go to insert, click there, and I'll take this. Okay, and there you go. That's your cumulative frequency distribution. Now, by the way, you are able to check all the other numbers. You can check the results you have here. So you can check what we have here, and just to make sure that you have things which are similar. Okay, here we go. So we've done this one totally. Now let's take a look at this. It says the mean and median. So I'll do exactly the same. I'll just copy everything, and I'll come here, click, and double click. Question 2, paste it there. Go to data, text to column, next, and finish. I'll do exactly the same thing. Just copy the whole thing. move here, right click. Just here I have the transpose, so I will not go back there, do the same thing we did for the first one. By now you should know how to do it, and you can see it's the mean and median. So I'll just say mean, median. Now, how do you know when to use the median? You use the median when there is an outlier. Now, the way to generally do the median is arrange this in ascending order of magnitude. So I'll select it. I'll go to data, and here we can arrange it. We can sort it from smallest to largest. So I'll just click there, and you can see it has sorted it. Now you can clearly see that 73 is actually an outlier, because when it leaves here, it certainly increases by so much. So this is an outlier, which means you will likely have to use the median. So how do I compute the mean? The mean is just an average. Hit tab, select your data, hit enter. Median is MEI, hit tab, select everything, hit enter, and there we go. That's it for that one. So here it says find the median speed. I will not do this because this is exactly what we did here. Here it says find the median speed. I don't need to redo it because I just need to copy paste the numbers and go for it. Here it says find the mode. So I'll take this, copy, and let me just paste it here. Control V. Come here to data, text to column, and that's it. Let me just make sure I have all the data set, 196.2, and then finish. Take everything, Control C, right click here and transpose, then delete all what we have there. And now I want to compute the mode. So I'll just say mode. And now for my mode, I'll say equal mode. Now I'll take this mode, double click, select, hit enter, and you can see what the mode is. Actually, to make life easy, you can arrange it in ascending order. Let me sort. Then if this is the mode, if I come here, I should see that that particular value, let's take a look, that it's the score with the highest frequency. It occurs twice. Is there any number that occurs twice again? Actually, that number occurs twice. This one seems to also occur twice. So I will say it's bimodal because you have this one and you have this one. So it occurs twice. Actually, let's see. No, let's just leave it like that. So what else is there to do? Here we have already seen how to do the standard deviation. If you come here, I will not redo it because the previous activity did the standard deviation. So I just wanted us to, if you want to do the standard deviation, the variance and the standard deviation, just look at what we did in the previous thing. I don't want the video to be above 30 minutes. However, I can just do it rapidly here. So let me copy that. I'll add a new question. So I'll say let me paste the thing there. Go to data, text to column, next, finish. copy it, right click, transpose, delete that, and then the first thing I want to compute the mean. The mean is the average, and then here we go, hit enter. The next one I want the size. Actually, I don't think I even need the size here. So all I need to do is just to compute the deviation. Okay, so let's move this there. That's the mean. Now I want the deviation. The deviation, here we have squared deviation. So the deviation is simply this value minus the mean. Hit enter. Now you need to put the $sign in front and after that, because you want to hold this constant. When you drag it, this will be changing, but you want to hold this constant. You want the mean constant. So I'm going to hold it constant by putting the $sign in front and after. Then I'll just drag it for all the other ones. Now I want to square the deviations. Click there, raise it to the power 2. To square it, hit enter, come, drag everything down. Now I want to see the sum of squared deviations. Sum of squared deviations is the sum. Hit tab, select all of that, hit enter, and then the variance is the sum of squared deviations divided by, you can see we are dealing here, it says find the population, standard deviation and population variance. So we are just going to divide, your n is 10. So we'll divide that by 10 equal divided by 10, and the standard deviation should be the square root of this number, equal, I'll click there and I'll raise it to the power 0.5. Now we can verify it using the Excel function, which is variance population with .p. Just take the data set, and then here we have stdef populate.p, which is the standard deviation using Excel function. Let me just move it here. Okay, so basically that is it for this one. You can play the same thing here. Here you are not dealing with population because you are dealing with variance. So it's important to know the difference. Okay, have fun doing all of this, and I'll see you in class.